This is Northwest Reports. I'm Maliha Sayed. Today we're looking at why some Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders feel disconnected from acronyms that group them together in one category.
Folks, happy Asian American, Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
The White House is currently recognizing Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders for AANHPI Heritage Month, a celebration that happens every May. There have been several versions of this acronym over the years, including APA, or Asian Pacific American, and AAPI, or Asian American and Pacific Islander. In this episode, we speak with Kevin Sur, who's Native Hawaiian and co-hosts a show on KEXP that showcases global indigenous music, about why he thinks terms like AAPI fall short in capturing the nuances of the communities they cover. One thing I like to do, especially if we haven't met before, is just hear a little bit about you. So if you could tell me anything that you think is relevant about yourself, so who you are, the work that you do, anything that you think might be relevant to what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, my name is Kevin Sur. I'm Kanaka Maoli. I'm a Native Hawaiian who's been working in music for most of my life. I am a former touring musician who also then went back and got a degree in music composition and moved to Seattle, where I started music festivals and founded a company called Artist Home and a festival called Timber. And I've been working here doing that since 2008. And while we've been producing events and doing a lot of different things in Seattle, you know, with kind of a community-centered focus, we've been advocates for our local music industry, for our local musicians, as well as our independent music venues, and have worked really hard at just being a very useful part of our community here.
I would be curious to know a little bit about your particular community. You know, I know we're talking about this really broad term, AAPI, and we'll obviously get into your feelings about it and just broader critiques that we know about that term. But just zooming in, could you tell me a little bit about the community that you belong to?
Yeah, well, I just belong to a music community, and sort of my place in Seattle was based on helping musicians. Since I moved up here, and even before then, I've always had this open door policy where any musicians who need help or are seeking help and advice in terms of career, like, I've always said that, like, my mission is to try to create something where I'm a voice in an artist corner that I never had. I'm a Native Hawaiian, but I'm on the mainland. So, like, I've always felt somewhat separated from my indigenous community and from my land and my aina. And, like, my community has just been centered around my love of music and the people that also love it and the people that make it. And I learned about the music industry through kind of the punk scene in the 90s, and from people that built up networks of community that, you know, taught me that the music quote unquote industry is something that the way that you conduct yourself and do it is simultaneously trying to make a path for yourself, but also at the same time making sure that the doors are open for other people and you're protecting this thing as you're working within it. And so when I say my background is in building that community, it's really centered on that. And I'm really proud of all the work I've been able to do for, 20 some odd years now. And when KEXP had a job listing looking for an Indigenous radio DJ and host to help curate and produce an Indigenous-centered show, it was the first time where I saw an intersection with the things that I've been doing in the community I built here and the work that I've done within the music industry, quote unquote, and apply it to the people that I've never been able to apply it to, which were like my people, my lahui. It was an immediate calling, and I immediately felt like I need to do this because I have not been afforded the opportunity to do something that honors, outside of just living a good life. But like, I really felt like I was finally able to apply all the things I've done to honoring my people and helping push my people and those who have a shared struggle and history with my people forward.
Yeah, that was something that I was going to ask you, and you mentioned at the beginning, not necessarily feeling connected to your community, being on the mainland. Has this show given you an opportunity to maybe connect with your community in a different way?
Yes, 100%. This show has been an absolute honor and a joy. It's been so much fun and such a great thing to dedicate myself to. It's helped me find a place where I could give a voice to Native Hawaiians, but also to all Indigenous people, where I don't see myself as there to kind of dictate my perspective at all. I'm there to honor other people. I'm there to honor their ancestors, where they're from, the lesson they've learned that by reclaiming their culture, we can thus share with the world. But that is my main thing, is being able to have a place and be in a position where the reverence I have for their ongoing existence is amplified. That helps me in my constant search and having this radio program that keeps me dedicated to researching and finding new things, learning the histories of different colonized people. It's informing me and helping me grow as a human. And then through that, I'm able to just use those airwaves to, inform the world and educate, everyone who's listening on the things that are happening in real time.
And your community, the Native Hawaiian community, technically fits into this term AAPI, and there's a couple of different terms, but what is your thought on that, having the community that you belong to fit into this broader umbrella term?
Even Asian American is there's so many cultures that are within that diaspora alone. I don't know how well it serves them. It's a start, but the connecting of Pacific Islanders and Asian Americans in that context has been absolutely detrimental and damaging to Pacific Islander people for generations since that's happened. The healthcare issues we face, the financial struggles, issues of poverty, education, you name it, when our numbers are so small and so greatly outweighed by the population of Asian Americans, our problems become erased. Our access becomes erased. During the pandemic, the city of Seattle had a grant, as an example, they had a grant to help local businesses and arts businesses get by. And I was told, hey, you need to apply for this because they want to make sure that they have some money for Indigenous arts organizations. But all they had was Native American, and then they had Pacific Islander. And I said, well, I put Pacific Islander. It doesn't tell you that I'm Indigenous. So even that is an example, I didn't get that grant. But applying to college for Pacific Islander people for a long time, when our issues are more closely intertwined with Native Americans, economically are at a far great disadvantage, but they're applying for scholarships, they're applying for admission and things against the population that so outnumbers them, but don't have the same challenges that we do. So therefore we don't get in, we don't get scholarships, so it goes on and on. This connecting of these two things has been really damaging, not to mention on the other end, when Asian hate crimes come up and then all of a sudden people are stop AAPI hate. I'm no one's hating Pacific Islanders right now.
And in this country, what should be a celebratory time coincides with a disturbing surge of racist attacks against Asian Americans.
You're diluting the problem, even though we're small, but there's no reason to do that. And so at the same time, and I also feel Asian Americans and Asian American organizations are pressured to dilute their celebration of their own people in order to satisfy this acronym. We were part of a celebration at KEXP it's called Pushing Boundaries, where it was the launch of Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Month. And it was amazing. It felt incredible and it was wonderful. But, I was able to speak on these things and just be hey, this just is what it is. And it's amazing that we have such amazing allies. And, and even in that day, part of the programming that I was involved with was also celebrating South Asian communities who are often not thought of and left out of the conversation here in North America, where in Europe, when the term Asian is used, they're actually more thinking South Asian and not East Asian. So it becomes really complicated, and these conversations need to happen. And hopefully as a group of people, hopefully things will evolve.
Yeah, I'm Pakistani American, and I agree. Growing up, the term Asian American, I don't think that I was ever considered in that umbrella. And it was fascinating having to explain to people over and over, no, I'm Asian. I am Asian. I feel like I know your answer to this, but I would be curious to know, there's so many other terms.
So what do you guys think about using AAPI, APIDA, APA, AANHPI, or Asian American?
I wonder, what do you think of those terms?
I think less of the terms. I think more about constantly asking why. I don't know. When you understand the root of why, then it's just like, why are these groupings still there? Like, and I know, like, you talk with any Pacific Islander, you're going to have a lot of different answers to this or a lot of different attitudes around it. I know that if, say, like an Asian arts organization wanted to do something that was solely focused on their community, they'd probably get some blowback from some folks, but not from me. Like, I'm just like, why should you dilute your celebration? So in terms of like the acronym itself, I'm like, I'm not worried about the acronym at all. I get to honor my people, the way I live and what I do. And selfishly, like, I get to be a part of Indigenous Peoples Day because I'm a Native Hawaiian, so I'm one of the Polynesian people that have been colonized. So like, I'm included there and that feels cool. But yeah, it's an interesting conundrum. The only way that it'll ever get righted is people just keep talking about it.
Yeah, when I was researching and just looking into some of the debate around the critique, some of the things that you had mentioned came up a lot. Like the reasons why people are even here in this country, they're completely vast and different. Some of them have to do with colonization. Some have to do with being refugees. Like, there are completely different reasons why these communities are here, but they're grouped under this really big umbrella. What would look more fair to you, or what do you think would be more ideal when we're thinking about these really vast communities that are lumped under this umbrella?
I think just trying not to have an umbrella term to cover, like, literally people that probably, I don't know, like the actual the math and the census information behind it, but you're trying to have this one term that's probably like half the world. I would rather be able to celebrate a day where I'm just like really, enriching myself with the music and culture of Lao people or Filipino people or, this or that. But like, that umbrella term is just, this broadness of it is kind of a thing. And I think the more that it can be pared down and celebrations or acknowledgements can be more focused, the better. Even if, like, imagine if we just had a Native Hawaiian Day, it'd be the greatest. It would be the best tasting day ever. We'd have luau and just, my thoughts are just, there's so many, so many different Asian communities alone. Like, how many different cultures and languages and practices just within China alone, not to mention Asia. It's broad. And I think like trying to satisfy all these things just to tick a box is not the right way to go about it. But instead trying to see how can we like properly let people feel seen and celebrated, and that's a path that should be gone down.
And we talked about your show a little bit, but could you tell me more about the show that you co-host on KEXP and, the purpose of it?
Yeah. So the show is called Sounds of Survivance, and it's a weekly show that amplifies the music and the voices of Indigenous people. And the purpose really is for me, it's to celebrate inclusivity within the scope of what it means to be Indigenous. And I think Indigenous people from all around the world that have been colonized have a very much a shared history, a shared struggle. And my hope is that through the show, I'm able to show what inclusivity within the realm of indigeneity looks like, and how the Sami people are connected with the Ainu people of Hokkaido, who are also connected with the Wari people and the Anishinaabe people and my Native Hawaiian people, how we're all connected through that shared history and shared struggle of being colonized. A lot of the same things that happened to my Native Hawaiian people happened all over North, Central, South America, Australia, happened everywhere. And so my goal is for Indigenous people from all over the world to feel seen and empowered by being included with each other, because there is that common thread that binds us of the struggle against colonization. And aside from actual genocide, which there's a cultural genocide that is interwoven and part of all of our histories. And I think that all of our ancestors, nobody was perfect, but all of our ancestors learned lessons, generation after generation learned lessons that informed the next generation. Those lessons turned into practice, that practice turned into culture. And the attempts to deliberately erase those cultures are real, lasted generations. But the effort to have a renaissance, to reconnect with those cultural practices so that we could reconnect with our ancestors and thus share the lessons that they learned throughout their existence with the world is a beautiful thing. And I hope that non-Indigenous listeners can really find solace in that and find, peace, and also find ways forward with whether it's in their individual lives, but maybe as a world, by understanding the many things, the lessons and the knowledge that Indigenous people have had to offer the world, but has been suppressed. I really hope that other people see that.
And how can people listen to the show? When do you air it?
It's on every Monday morning from 3 to 5 a.m., which I know is kind of a crazy time for people to listen, but you can actually listen to it at kexp.org or on the archive anytime. So if you go to kexp.org or if you download the KEXP app, you can go and pick on one of your many favorite shows, but you could choose Sounds of Survivance. And any week you can listen to Tori or my show. They are up for 2 weeks at a time. So there's always programming you could listen to.
And Tori's your co-host?
Yes. Tori's my co-host. He's a Quinault native from the mouth of the Quinault River. And he is one of my favorite people. It's been such a joy to share this with him.
And I think my last question, which we've sort of touched on, but I'd just be curious to know if you have anything more to say on this. Just what has the show's impact been on you in particular?
I think the Hawaiian word is kuleana. It's something you carry. It's a deep responsibility. And it's given me that, which has been such a joy. It's been, I feel like I haven't been able to wipe the smile off my face since I've been doing this. This opportunity is one I never thought would exist. I never even imagined it. Someone else imagined it and I applied. To be able to do something when, for me, like, I can't afford to go back to Hawaii. I can't afford to be there. And so many Hawaiians have my shared story of not having access to the place they belong to. But I do have this rare opportunity to do something for my people and for my land. And by honoring my own people, it gives me a scope to know how to honor other colonized people. So the effect it's had on me is just simply it's given me purpose, a greater purpose. And yeah, the work is ongoing. My understanding of indigeneity, my understanding of different cultures and different people and their struggles from around the world will evolve it's been everything to me. It's been such a great honor.
Thanks for listening to Northwest Reports. This week's guest was Kevin Sur. This episode was produced by me, Maliha Sayed, and Sarah Bernard. The story editor was Ryan Famuliner. Our executive producer is Sarah Menzies. You can subscribe to Northwest Reports wherever you listen. And whatever platform you're listening on, please review us. We'd love to know what you think of the show. Also, if you would like to support the work we do at Cascade PBS, whether it's our lineup of podcasts, the video docuseries we stream every week, or the in-depth reporting we deliver every day, go to crosscut.com/membership. In addition to supporting our journalism, members receive complete access to the on-demand programming of Cascade PBS. For the latest political, environmental, and culture news from the Pacific Northwest, visit crosscut.com. Northwest Reports is a product of Cascade PBS. I'm Maliha Sayed. We'll be back soon with another episode.